Okay, we'd like to welcome everyone to our Bountiful City Council meeting tonight, Tuesday, July 9th, and we will begin with Michael Lambert leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks so much, Michael. We are grateful that Bryce Hansen is here representing the Bountiful Utah Stake to give us an opening prayer.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity for all of us to live in this great area, Bountiful, Utah. We're grateful for Mayor Harris and her service and the council members for their service to selflessly give of their time and energy and thought to provide essential structure to our community. We pray that thou wilt bless them with inspiration from thy courts above to inspire them to help preserve the liberty for this area. That they may be part of that dedication to pass on freedom and a good place to live, that people will be able to have their families and grow and enjoy the fruits of this great nation. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Thank you so much. We now have our public comment period. Anyone who would like to can come and speak for 2 minutes. If you choose to speak, please come to the podium and clearly state your name and address. The time is now yours if you'd like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Also, thank you for the opportunity to say the Pledge of Allegiance with all of you. I will be very brief. I want to introduce myself. My name is Michael Lambert. I'm a resident of Layton, and I am the unaffiliated bipartisan candidate running for Davis County Commission. I'm attending city council meetings across the county to introduce myself. Just very briefly, I've become concerned, as have many, with the increasing divisiveness and polarization in politics, and that's part of why I'm running unaffiliated with a bipartisan campaign. Professionally, I'm a social worker, having worked most of my career with young people and families. I've got a young family of my own in Layton and participate in our school community council, care a lot about children's issues affecting our aging, sustainable growth and conservation, including air quality and the Great Salt Lake, and recognize the importance of Bountiful in our county, both for its sizable population and its history, and as a gateway to our county. And appreciate the time you've given me, and hope to cross paths with more of you at some point. Thanks for your service. I also enjoyed the good dialogue and conversation. I caught the tail end of what you're discussing about how to manage growth and pedestrian and traffic issues. So thanks again, and thanks for your service.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight?
My name is Hane Lee, and I owned, actually I lived there when I bought it, but now with my personal reasons that I don't live in Bountiful, I live in North Salt Lake. However, my house is in 2119 South Davis Boulevard. And my question is, there's a lot of beautiful houses in Bountiful, but those are all up in the mountain. Old areas are how do I say it? I'm not saying not beautiful, just a little bit, just make everything, get to the point. Where most of the Bountiful is single-family home zone. And I'm hearing two different sources saying the zone changes, city council or city cannot make a decision, it's a state making the decision. I'm just making sure that is correct. Do you have an answer?
You know, the public comment period isn't a time for question and answer, but I'm wondering if Amber or Jonah, would it be appropriate for either of you to talk with her? And they are expert at this topic, so they can help answer your question.
Okay.
Okay.
And I guess the one more thing is that I'd like to know, is it most of the people don't want to change to, I guess that's what my question too.
Okay.
Then I won't keep going.
Sure.
Okay.
They'll
So
be
I'll
able
talk
to
them.
help you with that. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments tonight? Anyone else would like to come and speak to the council? Okay, thank you. So Jonah, if you're willing to connect her with Amber, or if you're willing, thank you. Okay, we will move on from our public comment period, and we'll consider approval of minutes of previous meetings held June 25th, 2024.
Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes from June 20, sorry, now I've lost the date. 25th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Now we have council reports. Councilman Bell, would you like to report?
I don't have anything specific, but I sure enjoyed the dialogue from my fellow council members on the dais tonight, and I love the smart minds that they bring and offer and don't hold back on in sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bradshaw.
The South Davis Recreation District met yesterday for both a board meeting and a planning retreat. Last meeting, I mentioned to you that we were going to be adding 2 new at-large community members to the board based on, changes we'd made to the board makeup. And so now I can tell you who they are, now that they have been officially invited to join and have been sworn in. So one of them, the new board members, is from Bountiful, John Norman. He has been an active, engaged citizen attending our board meetings. And I'm excited that he has a governance background and structure in his day job as an attorney that I think will be really helpful to the Rec District Board. And the other is Brett Stedman, who lives in Woods Cross. He spent part of his career working in recreation in Salt Lake County at various facilities, and now works for the Salt Lake County assessor. But seems to have both a recreation background and then a very organized financial mind that I think will be helpful as we continue to secure a financial stability for the rec district and then start to do some of similar visioning and planning for the rec district. And then we've also continued our efforts with the school district and solving the Farmington factor with meetings again today on that. That is my update.
Thank you. That's a great update. Councilman Higginson.
That was a great update, and I have nothing to report this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilman Murray.
Just a big thank you to all the first responders. I've been able to rub shoulders a number of times with Chief Stone and the different police departments. The holidays bring out a lot of crowds to Eaglewood, and had a chance to sit with some council members in Centerville at the Centerville festivities. And it's great to be in a community on the south end of Davis County where all the cities can participate with one another and take part in the celebrations. And I'm looking forward to next week with Handcart Days and the crowds that it will bring to Bountiful and continuing the celebration of July.
That's a great reminder, too, to just remind everyone that next weekend, not this weekend, but the following, we'll have handcart days, the concert, the activities in the park, the parade, the fireworks. Yes. So thank you. That's exciting. That's coming up in our city next weekend. Yeah.
And Bountiful aids to really represent on the fireworks. Centerville was pretty impressive.
Oh, Bountiful always,
Yeah, so
always does a great
we're
job.
doing good.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman Price-Hewish.
Nothing to report tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thanks. I'll just give a quick update. So I'm serving on the Homeless Task Force, where we're looking at, there's a state mandate that we form a task force and that we present a plan as Davis County. And so I mentioned that the county-owned senior centers were identified as a potential for Code Blue, which would just be emergency shelter if the temperature goes below a certain temperature during the winter. And I think that over the last few weeks, it seems that there's more of a recognition that the senior center is utilized, and there's a lot of programming throughout the day. And so we're hopeful that the county is looking at other options, and we do feel as the task force is meeting, we're talking about first of all, just meeting the needs if there are emergencies this winter and if the temperature goes below a certain temperature, but then we're also considering ideas for a plan for more of a permanent solution where we provide 16 beds. And so we're just examining different opportunities, different possibilities there. And one option that was brought up recently, in recent weeks, was that every city would take a turn throughout the county. And this was something that some of us thought would be hard logistically to ask to do that. And so now what I'm really pushing with the task force is that we use criteria so that we're not just meeting the state's mandate by, picking something on the map within Davis County, that we're actually thinking through the items like, does it meet certain needs, so that it could be, there are places that really are just better suited than others for a temporary shelter. And so we're using a rubric, we're using criteria to evaluate potential sites. And so this is just a process that continues to evolve, and I'll keep you posted. We expect to have some potential sites to evaluate this coming week. So any questions on that?
Mayor, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I know this has been, serving on this task force has been quite an extra duty in addition to your mayoral duty. So thank you for all the extra time and additional meetings you've put in to represent us and frankly the entire South End, since I don't think there's any other South End mayors. I know you've been conveying this already in those meetings, but hope you'll continue to just share that we want to ensure that as we're considering how we ensure a safe environment for the homeless on our coldest nights in the winter, some of the plans, I think, unduly shift cost burdens. Cities have certain lanes that we are taxing our residents to take care of. And behavioral health, mental health, some of those housing things have never been in a city lane. They've always been in a county lane. And so hopefully we'll continue to ensure that we don't have any of that mission creep into municipal lanes of the things that we're already providing, like water and streets and power and things like that, and that we insist that the counties who have that lane continue to take the laboring oar there.
Thanks. Yeah, it makes sense that, they're already working in that realm, working closely with Davis Behavioral Health, the health department. So it makes sense that they're overseeing that and administering that. Thank you. Councilman Bell.
I also appreciate that you're encouraging and asking them to come up with decision-making criteria, placing the emergency shelters in certain locations where resources already exist makes a lot of sense, and not just randomly in other cities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question about
Sure,
that.
yes.
Where do you feel like the discussion is going right now to having one centralized location for the county, or something maybe north, something south? Where do you feel like the current deal is?
That's a great question, and that is really the next thing that we're addressing as a task force is, should it be one center? Should it be 3? Should it be 5 that rotate? So those are things still yet to be determined, but an important question, and there are things that could be part of the evaluation, such as the point-in-time count. Where were most homeless found when we did a point-in-time count? And where are services located, like Councilmember Bell mentioned, where are mental health services, or where are, so all of those things will go into that decision. But yeah, it's yet to be determined how many centers will be proposed. So, but we do have a deadline of August 1st where we have to have a plan to the state, and so I'll have another update to you soon with what was discussed and decided. Thank you. Okay, that's my update. And now we will move to the Youth Council report, and I'll let you, Councilwoman Price Hewish, introduce our BCYC representative.
Well, come on up, Camden. I'm very happy to have Camden Mumford here tonight. He is one of our officers in BCYC. He's a returning member. He's got a lot of experience, and it's really great because anytime we say, has anybody done this before? Camden's like, I have. So he's experienced, he's a natural leader, and I'm happy he's here. And he's going to give a little update about what has been happening and what the BCYC is looking forward to in the coming weeks.
Okay, my name is Camden Mumford, and I'm the BCYC treasurer. So in the past month, we've finished inducting our new members and are starting our regular meeting schedule for the new year. And some smaller events that we've done in the past month is helping with the car show and the Chalk Art Festival. Let's see. As one of our goals for this year in BCYC is to focus more on committee assignments and getting the individual members more involved in the planning process of these events. Some upcoming events we have is BCYC is carrying the flag in the Handcart Days Parade, and this is a joint activity with the youth councils from North Salt Lake and Woods Cross. The big event that we're planning for the end of the summer is the Stomp on Main. This is the second year we've done it since it's been reorganized. And it's going to be a little different this year because we're planning on having some live music as well as dancing. And and it's going to be at August 13th at Town Square, and we're in the process of applying for that to become an official event. So yeah, thank you for your time.
That sounds really fun. Thanks for all your work. Councilman Bell, did you have a comment?
I did, thank you. Kind of interrupting here. For those that don't know what BCYC stands for, it's Bountiful City Youth Council. And I don't know, there's got to be 50 to 60 youth this year, I think. It's the largest that's been for a number of years. And they do amazing service here in Bountiful. I wish there was more people here to see you, Camden, because they need a big round of applause for all the service that they offer. There's probably not an activity that happens in Bountiful where they're not involved in one shape or another. They're called upon with almost every activity to jump in and do this or do that, and they're very flexible and very, very great to have. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. We're lucky to have the BCYC. Okay, we'll now move to consider approval of expenditures greater than $1,000 paid June 19th and 26th, 2024, and to approve the May 2024 financial report.
Make a motion as noted.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Higginson. All in favor?
Aye.
All, any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Now we will consider approval of the preliminary and final architectural and site plan application for a change of use at 750 South Main. Amber Corbridge.
Good evening. So this application came before us to reuse an existing space at 750 South Main Street. With this change of use, it required a site plan review according to our code. So that is why you are reviewing it tonight. It used to be a professional office. It is now proposed to be a retail shop, a small business that includes appointment only and after 4:30 p.m. So pretty low impact retail. It is permitted in the zone. On the 2nd of July, the Planning Commission reviewed this application and forwarded a positive recommendation to City Council to approve. The parking was brought up in that meeting as the parking count does not quite meet the current standards of the code for all uses in the building, plus the new proposed use. But in our findings, as it's a non-conforming site, the new proposed use doesn't increase that nonconformity. So with that, we recommend approval of this architectural and site plan review for 750 South Main Street, Suite 102.
What questions do you have, council?
Mayor, I don't have any questions, but I'm happy to make a motion if my colleagues are ready.
Ready.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the preliminary and final architectural site plan and application for the change of use at 750 South Main Street, Suite 102.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bell. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. And now we'll turn the time over to Jonah for our next item.
Similar to Amber's, this is also a site plan review for a change of use. It's at 146 West, 300 South. Our applicant is proposing salon suites to be rented. It used to be a private school. The Planning Commission met on July 2nd and forwarded a positive recommendation to the City Council for final approval of their site plan. And during our site plan submittal, we reviewed it, Commission reviewed it, taking into consideration setbacks, height, landscaping, lighting, and other applicable standards. And with parking, it was determined that 24 spaces would be the requirement there. And given the limitations of the site, the applicant was proposing 23 stalls. In reviewing it with the commission, staff does not find it necessary to have them submit a formal parking study for that reduction to 23 stalls. Part of that was consideration was also with landscaping. It's not physically possible at the site to meet the code with landscaping and parking. But we determined, and Planning Commission determines, that meeting the parking requirement should take precedence over the landscaping. Currently, in the commercial zone, it has 5% of landscaping on site, and it requires 15%. With their application, they could bring it up to just under 12%. So that's definitely an improvement there. As such, staff recommends that the City Council approve this proposed preliminary and final architectural site plan for the change of use at 146 West 300 South. Just with some conditions here, is that they submit and adhere to a photometric plan as proposed by staff and the commission, and that they meet all other staff review comments and any conditions that you set forth.
Great, thanks. Any questions?
Is each room in that building anticipated to be a salon that could be rented out to
I believe
individual?
so. Yeah. Yep.
What other questions?
I have no questions, but I'll make a motion to approve as outlined by Jonah.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. That motion passes. Thanks. Okay, and now Mr. Charles Benson, our illustrious Streets Department Director. It's the Charles Benson Show with a bunch of things that we need to consider for approval, so
Gold-plated Streets Department Director.
absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, I come for you today to talk about some equipment purchases for several of the departments that we have. First off, we're starting out with the daily cover system for the landfill. This system can extend the life of the landfill by not putting the 6 inches of material on there to cover it daily. We can get it down to about a 1/2 inch of material, and then we won't have to take it off and try to disturb that. So we have 2 suppliers that we found for this highly specialized pieces of equipment. One is LSC Environmental and Global Machineries. We found that the LSC Environmental machine has a little better ground clearance and has solid tires instead of foam-filled tires, so it should have a longevity effect out there, and a little better towing setup to haul it around the refuse face. So we would recommend that we go with the LSC Environmental product for a total cost of $115,888.
So it sounds to me like this process would be, would save some life in the landfill because it's a little more,
Yes, we're looking at it has the potential of saving about almost 10 years.
Wow.
Adding 10 years to the life of the landfill.
so it will save space and add to the life of the landfill, which is awesome. And then also, I just wondered, just out of curiosity, is the application process, is that faster than what you would, you were doing before?
It's much faster. It's actually a spray-on material. So it's basically like a big hydro seed machine that's going to spray this material on there and glue it all down to the face. So it's not going to blow around. It's going to stay in place.
What's your guess of how long it takes to apply that?
To apply this versus the
To
dirt?
apply this new way to be able to apply it to the area?
I think they could probably get it done in about 20 to 25 minutes.
Okay, which is
Versus
quicker.
probably 45 minutes to an hour of
Okay.
what we're doing now.
And there's cost savings to fuel as well.
Absolutely.
I got on YouTube and watched it.
Hey, yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It's an interesting process, yeah.
My only request is if they could put a little bit of green dye in it instead of the gray stuff that they sell. That way it looks good from the freeway.
Well, actually, we're probably going to it's going to be a brown. We're going to experiment with a couple of different things, but yes. Right now
Wow,
it's going to
okay,
be brown.
well, there you go.
Charles, what is this composite? What is this spray mixture made
Well,
of?
there's several different spray mixtures out there. We're going to go with a bentonite material. It's kind of a clay, and that will stick on there and do that. We're going to try that first. We're also going to try kind of a paper mache type material and see which one works out the best.
Which one's more of the stucco material? Is it the first one?
First one. Yeah.
First one, yeah.
I have a question, Mayor.
Sure.
What were we, what was our cost for the dirt? I'm assuming some of it just showed up for people wanting to dump dirt at the landfill versus having to buy this special mixture. Will we see an increase in our costs for that daily cover?
There will be a little bit of a cost, and some of the dirt that's coming in, some of it we bring in at a reduced cost, some of it they're paying the total tonnage fee at the gate for that as well. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. The first load's going to be about $38,000 for the material to cover it if I bought a semi-load, but we're just going to buy a sample first and then see where we're at.
Okay, so that would be some type of an ongoing charge as the input to the machine that we're considering right now.
Yes.
So would we see that in a future approval or as an ongoing input? Would that bypass and just show up on our purchases of greater than $1,000?
It would probably be in the lower part. We wouldn't be buying a huge amount of that all the time. We'll have to see exactly how much we're using. And it all depends on how big the working face is, and we strive to keep that small, so we don't have a lot of area that we have to cover.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. You may, if I understand right, you said bentonite?
Yes,
So that's a waterproofing type material, is that right? It has some waterproofing
Water
capabilities?
impermeable.
it's permeable, yes.
Okay. Then I don't have a follow-up question.
You do?
I will follow up with Jesse's question that he was going to ask probably. With bentonite, do we risk slumping on our final grade on
No,
the side of Landfill Mountain?
it's put down in such a thin layer, it's not going to be an issue.
Okay.
Shouldn't be an issue.
And it is water permeable?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes. Could you take 30 seconds or less and explain what airspace is at the landfill?
Airspace is what we can use to fill. We have a certain amount of airspace that we can build that mountain out there at the landfill up to. And once that's gone, we have to go somewhere else. And transporting the refuge out of the city would be very expensive. That's why we want to have it as compact as possible and it stays in place as much as possible.
So we can't just keep building forever in altitude.
No, we have a limit that we can't go any higher than that.
So reducing by a factor of 12 the thickness of our daily cover will increase the time.
We'll increase our life of the landfill that we can.
Love it. Thanks for looking for this.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Charles, could I ask just one more
Yes.
kind of logistical question? So if that's our cover each day, how, on average, how much is being added to the landfill every day? And I know it's not, across the whole landfill, but the part you're working on, like, how much is getting added? Like a foot, 6 inches of just refuse
Of material
or
coming
material?
in?
Yeah.
We're probably adding about 4 feet in the cell area that we're working in. So there is a lot of refuge that comes down there.
Great questions, thanks. Ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the expenditure for LSC environmental machine for the amount of $115,888.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Price Hewish. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. So we'll move to the next item, Charles.
The next item we have is our compactor out at the landfill. So our 2000 Caterpillar 826G, it failed on us, and so we need to get it replaced. So the greatest factor we have out there in the landfill is the airspace. And we have found that the compactor, the Tana compactor that we're using now, has the best compaction, has a better compaction than the four-wheel compactors we have been using in the past. And so with that, we've looked at the other compactors that are out there, the Aljon, the Bomag, and the Tana, and the Tana came in at a very good price. We also need to outfit it with our GPS system, which tracks how the compaction is going out at the landfill. We went through this process a few years ago and selected the geologic system, and we have that in place, so we just need to have another system put onto this compactor as we bring it in line. So staff would recommend that the council approve the purchase of the Tana H55-5 compactor from Humdinger for $1,161,000 and a GPS system from Geologic for $37,575 for a total of $1,198,575. This has all been budgeted for in the landfill general budget.
Based on the conversation we just had on the previous item, I'll make a motion to approve the Gemini dual antenna GPS system Geologic for $1,198,575. It's quite a piece of machinery.
Second.
Yes, it is. It's very heavy and it compacts very well out there.
Thanks.
Can we have a field trip to come and see this?
Absolutely.
See or drive?
See and
okay.
drive, or
That's
any of
implied.
the above.
And spray.
Excellent,
Sounds
okay.
amazing.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move to the next item, Charles.
The next item we have, actually, the next two items are kind of identical. One's for these are the side-loading refuse trucks. One's for our sanitation department. We have 5 first-line trucks that go out daily, and we plan on keeping them 6 years out on the first line, and then they go into spare rotation. We are still in kind of a bind on getting equipment out there. You've also heard that from Power Department as well, that it's long lead times. We have been able to get a chassis from a Peterbilt for $211,988 and a refuge body from Labrie for $167,000 for a total of $378,988 for a garbage truck. Staff would recommend that we approve the Peterbilt chassis from Jackson Group for that amount and the body from Labrie for a grand total of $378,988.
So the next two items, the one we're discussing now is for the sanitation department, and then the next one is identical, and that's for the
Recycling department.
recycling department. Okay, so we'll take item number 11 first, if there's any questions or motion on that.
I do have
Mayor,
a question. Oh, sorry.
I want to return to the humdinger. I'm sorry, but can I just, I did want to say humdinger. It's a humdinger. I'm just wondering, it didn't say on here, and a lot, recently we've had lead times, how long it will take to get this equipment in, and I know this is highly specialized. When will we get the humdinger?
We're thinking maybe October. They're manufactured in Finland, and the humdinger keeps one in process all the time on speculation. And so that one we're thinking is going to be coming in possibly in October.
That is awesome, and I have the same question about the other trucks, for the recycling and garbage removal.
So those ones we're not 100% sure. We're thinking maybe September, October, possibly on those as well.
That's not as bad as what we've been
We
looking at.
kind of got ourselves in line a little earlier, but now that we can commit to it, they may get us up right in line first.
Awesome, thanks,
Great.
Charles.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions on item number 11?
Yeah. Charles, do we have other Peterbilts in our fleet?
Yes, the majority of all of our trucks, I think we have one, what was it? Auto car. And the rest are all Peterbilts.
Nice. Nice for your service folks.
It makes it much easier for our stocking our parts and everything else as well to have them the same type of chassis.
Mayor, would you allow me the privilege of motioning to approve both of these identical trucks as presented?
Are we supposed to
Second.
take one at a time?
Oh.
Really? Oh. Great.
Can
We'll let
Richard
you- we'll let you do
motion on the
both.
first and I motion on the second?
No, I'm going to refuse to make a motion now,
Okay.
just out of principle. It's okay.
You want to go ahead?
I'll make the motion on the first one that we approve the purchase of the Peterbilt chassis and the Labrie body for the amount of $378,988.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bradshaw. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and now if there are questions about item number 12,
Mayor, I motion to approve the purchase of the identical truck on a separate agenda item.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, excellent. So that's for the recycling
Sanitation and
department.
recycling,
Thank
yes.
you. Okay, and now we are to item number 13.
So now we're talking about 2 plow trucks. So we have looked at our fleet, and we need to replace 2 of those, our first-line plow trucks out there. We found on the state contract the 2 international chassis from Rush for $168,516.10 each, and 2 body snowplow packages from Viking Clive on a state contract as well for $145,000 apiece.
I will make a motion to approve conditional on that we name these 2 trucks.
Second.
Did you see how fast that second?
If he wasn't going to go
It
there,
was
I
not
was.
planned.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and with that condition that we name the trucks, the plows.
Since we did that so quickly, we could make a motion on what those names are tonight, I think.
No, it's not on the agenda, it wasn't noticed.
Well, we don't
Sorry.
know when those will be here.
Sorry.
We can always compel the mayor with a majority vote to ensure it's on the next agenda.
You could do that.
Second.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we will move to the next item to consider the approval of a purchase of a backhoe. Mr. Charles Benson.
Okay, so it's come time that we need to replace our 2011 John Deere backhoe that we use in our patching division on that. So we plan on keeping that as a backup, and we have an older backhoe at the landfill that we'll discard on that part, send that out for auction. We found that on the state purchasing contract bid MA 3379 from RDA equipment, the John Deere 410P backhoe for an amount of $154,343. This one meets our needs for the patching department and all of that. It is planned for and budgeted on our 2025 budget. Staff recommends the council approve the purchase of the John Deere 410P from RDO for the amount of $154,343. Do you have any questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of the John Deere. Actually, I have a question. Charles, can you, I'm sorry, I paused mid-motion. But when you're talking about the state contract, what goes into the process of determining whether you're going to put this out as a bid or go with the state contract? Can you just explain that?
Well, we look at the state contracts, and we look at that first and decide, because they've already gone through the bidding process out there and found what's the best price and the availability and all of that, have already gone through that process. So it saves us, staff, a lot of time in that effort and going through all that. As long as the specifications that they've outlined in there meets our needs, it's much easier to go by the state contract, and since they've already gone to all that legwork.
So usually, like, when we're talking about the humdinger, is that because that's not available
That's not
on
the
the state
there's-
contract?
There's very few municipalities that have a landfill and have a need for that, where there's many cities and divisions in the state need a backhoe.
Yeah.
And so they go through that, wherever the greatest need is that's where they bid it out.
Okay, I mean, I just appreciate that additional back info. So with that, I do move that we approve the purchase of the John Deere 410P backhoe from RDO Equipment in the amount of $154,343. $154,343.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And now for your last item.
Last item we have here, we've been working on this for many years. This is a brine maker. We have 19 of our trucks have brine tanks in them already, ready to go, all set up. So what this will actually do is it'll make a brine solution that will pre-wet the salt as we're dropping it out of the chute in the back of the salters. What this will do is activate that salt quicker to make the roads melt off, we call it braking, and have it turn to black roads in about, it's almost half the time it takes if we just put regular dry salt down on the road. So it can make the roads a lot safer, a lot quicker on this. And this is generally just used on the first pass, or if it's a prolonged storm, we'll have to refill the tanks and do it again. But for the most part, once that road's wet, that activates that salt and makes the road safer for everybody. So in our process of looking at all of this, when we first encountered all of this, it was quite the involved area where we would need tanks and containment, a roof to cover some of this area. So originally, that's why we had the $265,000 in there. We came across this particular piece of equipment here that makes it on demand, makes it fast enough that I don't have to have those big storage tanks. I don't have to have all of that other infrastructure there. I will still have to have a little bit. Once it's here, we can decide exactly how it has to be installed. But for the most part, we can go with this system rather than a larger, more elaborate system. And that's why we recommended going with this one here. And we found it on the Minnesota state contract. And since we're a municipality, we can go off of their process that they went through in bidding as well to get the best price.
That's good information, thanks. Any questions?
Mayor, I have a question. I know I can't remember the actual numbers. You probably remember from the big winter in 2023. We kept buying more and more salt because we had more and more storms.
35,000 tons, yes.
Yeah, and so, and that added up on the line item. How do you feel like this will compare? Will it save us money in the long run, or it's just a better product? How does it, price-wise?
So it's difficult right now without running the test, but when we did some comparisons, we are looking at, we could have a 10 to 15% reduction in the salt usage. But it may or may not be exactly that. It all depends. Our hills are a little unique rather than a flat area, because if it's a flatter road, that salt brine will stay on there more. Our hills, it may run off faster. And that's something we'll have to experiment with and find out.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Great.
I don't want to get in the habit of doing this, making my motions contingent, but it's because I love you, Charles.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of the Brine Masters BM6 brine mixer and removable controls from Brine Masters LLC for the amount of $64,242. The condition is that Charles stay employed here for the next several decades.
Can I second a motion? Is that out of order?
No, please.
No,
Thank you for your service and the expertise and knowledge that you bring to us, and we value it a great deal. Thank you.
We do value you. Yeah, good motion. Thank you, Councilman Bell. And did I hear a second from Councilwoman Price
Decades,
Hewish?
yes.
Second, on all of the above.
Yes.
Contingency, conditional, everything.
We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and no comments about the mascot, Kate? I thought that we were going to get,
Well, I respect Charles so much that, I don't want to overwhelm him and with his many different divisions inside his department that he's running. And so I think if we just start with the snowplow trucks, particularly these new ones that'll be so shiny and just ready for stickers with their names, that we can start there. I mean, I feel like Councilwoman Price Hewish has already named the trash compactor. I mean, it sounds like its name is just going to be the Humdinger. So maybe you could order that sticker now. It could be the tiptoe into naming things at the landfill. I had thoughts about the backhoe and a requirement there, but I didn't want to overwhelm Charles. I mean, this was a lot on the agenda. And so I'm satisfied that the minutes will reflect the desire for the naming of the snowplow trucks. I've noted that it's not been in prior minutes, so I'll be checking.
okay, I think we have direction. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time and patience with us.
Mayor and Council.
Great equipment for all the departments, and hopefully that'll help do the job that you're tasked with and your team. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will now consider approval of Resolution 2024-09, and we'll turn the time over to Mr. Galen Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. The last time we met, we discussed in work session the options that we had with the existing RAP tax, and polled each of you on your desires with moving forward with a intention to reauthorize that through a ballot initiative. And in the staff, sorry, I turned it off. I have a kind of a rundown of what would take place given your intention to reauthorize that. And I'll just go through these points really quickly. since your intention was made known, now it would be required to do a resolution that would be sent to the county election clerk as well as the lieutenant governor, indicating that there would be a ballot initiative coming out. And then we have already gone out and requested the county's desires on whether they would be also pursuing a RAP tax, and they have given us their resolution that they do not intend to do a resolution, so, or a ballot initiative of their own, so we can move forward with ours. And then that opinion question is contained in the resolution that's before you tonight. And that is basically to ask the question of the voters in November on the 5th, shall the city of Bountiful, Utah be authorized to impose a 0.1% sales and use tax to fund parks, improvements, recreational improvements, and cultural facilities and organizations for the city of Bountiful? And then that election would be held on the 5th, and subject to the outcome of that election, the council would then need to adopt an ordinance that would enact again that RAP tax. And then we would go through a process of notifying the tax commission to again collect that when it expires in the end of March on 2026. So we're a little bit ahead of the game, but it's a process that takes a while. There's a lot of other steps that are embedded within these others. But before you tonight is consideration of adoption of Resolution 2024-09, and staff would recommend your approval of that, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Please.
Galen, is the text of the ballot proposition mandated by state code?
The structure of it is, yes. I mean, it has to be worded in such that it's clear, and so the wording is somewhat guided by that, yeah.
Is the word impose mandated by state code?
I believe it is. It's the wording we used the last time we reauthorized it.
Okay. I'm just hoping that somehow we can effectively communicate to folks that this is a reauthorization or a renewal and no taxes are going up. This will replace an expiring levy, et cetera. There's no way for us to shoehorn any of that information in the...
Not in the ballot initiative. I can coordinate with Brad and with Gary, but to my knowledge, there's not a way to put it in the ballot initiative. But there is another avenue that's not called out in this, and that is the voter information pamphlet that is mandated to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And within that document, it clearly states that this is a reauthorization, no new taxes on it. So it's very clearly stated that way.
Does the ballot proposition have a title on the ballot?
I don't know, other than just to authorize a RAP tax. I'd have to look at sure. I'm not sure on that.
Well, if it does have a title and we can shoehorn any of those reauthorization or renewal words in.
I believe it will say reauthorization, so at least it does have that. And then in the body of the document, it'll have that.
Awesome. Thank you.
I had a question going along with what Richard was asking. It says, it's in quotes, RAP tax reauthorization election. And I think these acronyms that are, can be thrown around, which we're very familiar with, are not as familiar. Can that be spelled out, recreation, arts, and parks, instead of RAP tax?
Yes, it's actually called out in some areas it's called out in the voter information pamphlet, I know that much. As far as in the ballot question, I'm not sure if it's restricted by amount of wording you can have, but that probably could be spelled out.
That's a good question, yeah.
Just one other question. I think that would just give, I'm not totally sure people are, again, just as dialed into all the acronyms, like I was saying earlier, BDAC, or it was the BCYC. But that's another one, the BDAC, which is helped by the RAP tax. A really quick question, Galen. There is a cost to this of $14,000. If there's already an election happening, the ballots are already going out, they're already printing things, why do we have to incur this cost as a city?
Let me explain that a little bit. The total of the 14,000 is a combination of the cost of printing the voter information pamphlets and distributing those to every resident. And so that's fairly expensive when you have to have somebody do that. And the other piece is, that's about, let's see, that's $12,000 is what we estimated there. And then the county has given us a figure of $2,000. When we were running our own election, we actually assessed any other taxing entity that came onto our ballot a fee to be able to do that, because we have to be, you have to add that to it. It is more time for staff to manage the process and so forth. So the county's doing the same thing in reverse, with us being the people asking to be on the ballot. So it's an incremental cost to add that initiative.
Thank you. Any other questions for Galen?
Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-09, authorizing the reauthorization of our recreation, arts, and parks tax, and look forward to helping staff on our voter information guide about what it's been taking care of in our city and things it might go towards in the future.
I'll second that with a, on my knees, humble request that the mayor also sign that resolution.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And thanks for your comments and questions about the idea of reauthorization, as well as spelling out what it is, recreation, arts, and those are good points, I think. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn to a RDA meeting with a separate agenda.
Second.
If someone wants to make that motion.
Make a motion to adjourn to I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second his motion.
Thank you.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will now move to the separate agenda. Do we need a break? Okay, we'll move straight into that meeting. We are now reconvened as the redevelopment agency of Bountiful City. I'd like to welcome everyone Tuesday, July 9th at approximately 8:02 p.m. And we'll consider an RDA loan for the construction of Alpha Graphics located at 1579 North Main Street. And I'll turn the time over to, are you handling that for us, Brad?
Yes, yes, I am, Mayor.
Thanks.
The city recently made a purchase of the current Alpha Graphics property located on South Main Street. And in order to assist Alpha Graphics and help them to stay in our community, as well as to finish out the North Main Street property, we are requesting that we give a loan to them, a construction loan amount of, let me make sure I have a lot of numbers. This one is $890,000 to Alpha Graphics.
Mayor,
That was
Yes.
abrupt.
that was a short presentation, but
Yeah.
I feel like we've had a lot
I was
of
digging in for a
discussion about this project, and feel like it's a good use of our RDA funds to move forward with this loan. We've had some great projects with some of our other RDA loans and look forward to this being another great project for a new office and printing facility for Alpha Graphics. So I would make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Can I also make a few comments of why I am an aye?
Sure.
I agree. We have had a number of discussions about this, and not just tonight's presentation, but I think it's really important that we continue our investment on Main Street. And this does a couple things. It helps fill a couple of voids, and we have collected RDA funds over many years, and this provides a loan, a return to the city based on a fair interest rate for all parties.
Thank you.
Mayor, given the limited number of opportunities you have to vote in a meeting, I just wanted to know if you wanted to vote on this issue as well.
I'm excited to vote. Yes, thank you. It's really exciting. So we didn't actually vote, right? We
did.
have, okay, then I am also an aye. I will make that known. Thank you. I was a little mixed up for a minute. Okay, so we voted and that passed, and now I would entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I move that we adjourn this
Second.
RDA meeting.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.